Alright, so I'm hoping this will be like one of my last videos. I'm going to talk about the road architect. It's quite a bit to cover to try and be as quick as I can. Um, so the road architect is pretty powerful, but also there's some caveats to know. So I need to cover every little aspect because there's a lot of different aspects, a lot of different branches that branch out, and the more you know, the more comfortable you're going to be navigating around and things. So the first thing I want to just point out, we're going to kind of go, I want to, after I show you this, I want to go through, I'm going to use the template map as my example for when I'm messing around with the road architect here. I just want to show you a couple things first. I want to show you this art folder, and then I want to show you just real quick, I'm going to move the template file over and basically just rename everything real quick, and then we'll launch it, and I'll basically use that for my road architect stuff. But before I do all that, I wanted to show one thing. So when you open up your asset browser, you might notice that you have two art folders. If it's like a custom map you've been working on, you know, you have your art folder, and then you have another art folder. And I'll show you this later, but all of the procedural road assets, like the poles, all the different greeble you can put on your roads, that will all come from this second art folder. So let me just show you what I'm talking about for that. So, because we're going to circle back to this a little bit later, just so you know where it's going, you know what it's looking for. So if I go to the main game directory and I go under content, art shapes, the zip file here. So all of this second folder is actually pulling directly from this zip file in its zip format. So that's in your root game directory. So if you open it, you know, it's zipped, but you can see art, shapes, all of these things. This is all like DAE files. See this DAE? It has the color maps and all the textures and everything, as well as the DAE in that directory. So when you're messing around with the road architect, you're going to be seeing these new assets that you don't know where they're coming from. Like there's like fuel cans and all kinds of different greeble little items you can put in your world that have collisions already and everything. And that will be showing up in the secondary art folder. So that's just what I wanted to point out. So filter this by DAE. You'll see the CDAEs as well, but you don't need that. So just DAE, and you can see them. If you click them, you'll see them in your object window. If you wanted to bring them into the world, you know, you could do that as well. There's tons of them. There's different folders in here. All these DAs, there's a guardrail. You know, all these objects are built into your gameplay folder. So meaning if you put one of these items in your world, anybody that you share your map with, they're going to be able to see those assets. You don't have to worry about the materials. You don't have to worry about the DAE file or any of that stuff. It'll always be there, you know. So that's kind of an interesting thing I just wanted to point out before we started, because the road architect uses these assets. So then obviously the main material JSON is already in that directory in your game directory. So since we're going to be using the template map, let me just grab the template and do a quick put it in my levels folder. So levels template. I'm just going to copy it to my main levels. Oh, let me get rid of that. I was messing around earlier. So paste that guy there. Let me just unzip. And I'll delete the zip. Go into it. I'm going to cut the template folder out. Paste it in the main. And then I'm going to go in and just delete this empty levels folder. So I just have my template with the data. So let me just change the name to something. This is just for tutorial sake. So 2. Just want to go here. Template 2. Save. Close all these. Leave that. Check this. I don't need to check. I don't need to do anything. Info. I'm just going to change that to a 2. Let me change the is auxiliary. I want to make that false. Save it. Terrains. Let me go in here. I guess I could just leave that as it. That's not going to break anything. Beach sand is here. I'll just change it. It's okay. Control F. Replace everything that says template with template 2. Just make sure that there's no materials with that name in it. So I'm going to do replace all, save it, shapes, ground cover. I'll do that one. That should be good. All right. Might have to match to these two. Make sure my material names are not changing. I think that's it. All right, let's launch it up. See what happens. So see how my template 2 now appears here? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's make this appear very first. Let's be fancy. Watch this. Info. Edit that. And let's just say, where is it? Title. Let's just say a template 2. Now it shows right here. Pretty cool, huh? Now I don't want to see a bunch of maps that have the letter A in front of their stuff just to make it show first. Just have the normal name, that's fine, but I just wanted to show you that. I don't expect every new map that comes out to have the letter A in front of it. Anyway, alright, so let's go to the template, launch this guy. So I think what I'm going to do to explain this is I'm going to do 2 roads. Let me do 2 roads here real quick. One of them I'm going to do the road architect way, and then I'm going to do the second one how I just do it. Forgot to tell you to do one thing, and when I forgot to tell you to do that, what it's doing is it's taking all of the terrain changes and it's saving them into a brand new template folder, which just has this stuff in it. So what's happening is if I delete this folder, all of my terrain changes are going to be gone. Let me show you that. All you got to do is go to scene tree here, go to your the terrain, and this terrain file, for some reason it wasn't changing, so I just got to make sure I'm doing template 2. I'm going to hit enter. Now I can close it. Well, actually save it, Save it, close it. Now I can delete template, relaunch, and it'll work. I guess before I start building, like using the mesh road, let me just show you how to quickly use the decal road editor. So default width for like road lines, I usually do like 1. So if I have it at 1 and I hold Alt and I click and drag and click again while holding Alt, if I'm still holding Alt, it does that. If I let go of Alt, it'll just go back. I can select nodes. They snap to the terrain, which is cool about the terrain. So, if you want to make another one, you just hold Alt and you can click. And then if you delete, you delete one node, delete, it'll make it just those 2 joined. If you delete one node, it'll delete the whole thing. So I'll just Control Z. If I go to my material, right here, this will be all your materials. So like you can do lines. There's also many things in here. There's asphalt, but line yellow. Texture length for like road lines, 5 is good. For things like concrete, you probably want like 36. You can see how it changes kind of the texture length. 36 actually could be cool for that too. So if I wanted to Control A, see how the nodes are white, now they're both selected. So now the node width, I can actually change that to 2. I can change that to 10. And then if I went back down, I can go down and change it to like asphalt. Here it is, asphalt damaged. That's pretty cool. So yeah, if you can see the texture length's 5, 36. I usually stick with like 36. You can crank it 50 sometimes, but sometimes 36 is good. I don't want to use, too much. So I see 36 a lot on the official maps. I compared a lot of my settings to the official maps that I do mess with the start end fade. So if you do like, 5, see how the end faded and then 5. So there, see how you get a little fade, that's cool. If you go too much, you might not even see the whole thing, so just be careful. I usually stick with about 5 to start. You could even do 1. But if it's like a road line, I stick it at 0 because you like a nice rough edge. But I'm just trying to show you how to use the decal editor before I show you some more stuff. So that's pretty much it. So if I'm in Object Select, you can duplicate them. They still snap to the terrain. You can move them around. Oh, sometimes they're a little weird. So see how the origin is still over the terrain? If I move the origin way up here, it'll still find it, but you usually want to keep it roughly close to the terrain. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes you'll see different artifacts. If you do see that, you know, just move them. Sometimes the terrain can impact that. So if I go to my, I'm going to go from my terrain painter to my smooth. So if I just kind of smooth stuff, see how they kind of eventually will, you know, match up to the terrain. If you do a smooth on the smallest scale of the brush, you might notice some weird stuff, like see how it doesn't even get on it? It won't find the snapping on the terrain. Oh, and then if you do it, oh, just Control Z. So if you do some other weird stuff, if you like lower height with the brush real small, see how sometimes you'll go right through the planet. But anyway, just be careful of using the brush when it's really, really small. I usually keep it like 1 click. So from here, this is the smallest. I'll keep it here or bigger. So like here, and I'll do a smooth. You could do smooth. Oh, pressure. Nope. Make it bigger. Oh, that's my decal. So see how the decal's kind of hovering in the air? If I did like edit, rebuild collisions, that might fix it. If you move it, that usually fixes it. Mess around with it, usually tinker with it, it'll start snapping back to where it needs to be. So just a couple little caveats there. Let's see what else. Let me just show you the over objects. So that's by default checked, where a decal will go over objects. Just a couple things to see. So if I go Window, Asset Browser, let it load. Let's go pull an asset from that art folder I was talking about earlier, which is in the game, the second art. There's really nothing in our main art for this template map, so I'm just going to go into, what is it, art shapes. Oh, here's the roof. Oh, see, there's no material. Some of these don't have material in their JSON file. Makes me wonder if they're experimental or something, but you have some pretty cool assets in here. Now, if they remove the assets, like you have a bunch of these in your map and they remove them on the official level via a game update, then they'll be gone. At the end user side, meaning you'll have to go back through your map and you know, figure all that out and fix it. But for the sake of them keeping this forever with the road architect, these assets are pretty detailed, so I don't think they're going anywhere. But if I just use like a, you know, that guy, I don't know if I can make that go over it, but usually you'll be able to make them like if you wanted a, usually my example would be, so if I did like a decal, let me close this. If I did a decal on the roof, where is it? Decal editor. And I just hit the plus, new template. Just click and scale. Number 3 to scale. I'm going to scale it all the way down. I'm going to scale it like this. Oh, I don't think I can scale actually on one axis. So yeah, the decals are a little funny, but I just wanted to show if you wanted to like make a dirty roof as an example. It's just an example. You know, I could just make a dirty roof kind of thing. So that kind of plays into the over object setting. I don't know if I can show that. So if this guy is like right here, you see how he's over it. Decal road editor. I can use my mouse wheel up and down to kind of toggle back and forth. But I was trying to show the over object, which I guess you guys probably get, but I can't select. I don't know why I can't select this guy anymore, but let's see what happens if I move him. Oh, where's the, oh, okay, yeah, so the decal editor is kind of weird. So I actually have to go back to the decal editor to manipulate that decal. So I guess that's one of the reasons. So I don't really use the decal editor too much, but I'm going to delete that one. So yeah, there you go. So as you can see, my over object setting for this decal is affecting where it's sitting now. So if I hit edit, rebuild collisions or restart the game, this little artifact that's in the air will go away. I think. Maybe. Yeah. If I restart, those will go away. So if you ever see that, don't fear. If you ever see decals that have disappeared, like you can't see the texture, but you can still see the blue stuff. You can select it, but there's nothing there. Just restart the game. Alright. Sometimes you'll notice if you do things, you try and delete something if you're not in the right mode. Like I'm in terrain mode. I don't know if I can delete that in terrain mode. I kind of got to be in object select and then delete. Oh, delete. There you go. So I'm going to flatten this guy out. Just want to kind of, let me just lower it. Do some of that. Maybe I'll flatten it. Give it a little swoopy swoop. Make it look somewhat passable. Obviously, if it was a good map, you wanted it to look good and you would spend a lot more time on it, but I'm just trying to give you a basic rundown. So if I go Mesh Road Editor, I'm going to set my default width to about, I guess, 2 car widths, which I think would be 6, if I'm not mistaken. It might be 12 or so, but if I wanted to see how it would look with a car, I'll just select them and then Control-Alt-Click. Let me press J, bring them up. Let me just do, you could always edit rebuild collision, but I'm just going to gauge it. Let me see here. Actually, let me rebuild. Let's see if he stays there, and I can just spin him around, press J. I kind of want to make sure, you know, that it is the rough width of 2 cars, which, you know, you can actually change this later, but just to start, we'll say, I guess 6 is good. So I'm going to give it a material. Go back to my inspector. I just need a, I guess it's concrete I'll use here. Oh, move that. See, sometimes the windows can be buggy. So let's just do concrete plane. Concrete plane. There you go, maybe. You might notice your world editor is hiccuping. I mean, I see that a lot. Can't seem to figure out why, but this is just what happens. So let's just do Control-Alt-Click. And what that will do is kind of snap the origin there. Not really optimal unless you have like perfectly flat terrain, but it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Mesh Road Editor, and then I'm going to set my first node and my second node to the same position. So let's just give it like 120. What is that, Z? And we'll set this guy same. 120. Enter, and then let me make them bigger. So I'll press 1. I'm just going to go all the way. Just going to go far. When you do it with 2 points, you'll get the straightest road, you know. If you wanted to add a 3rd point, it's good to like just get it as far as you need it. Probably go like that. And then I'm just going to actually, well, I'm not going to duplicate it yet, I will. But let's just make sure everything is honky-dory. I'm just going to do a basic bridge. That way I can show you the road architect. And then let me kind of get it into the terrain a bit. Oh, let me go back to Object Select. Press 1. Move it down. Let me go to my terrain tool. Let me just raise it up. Just a hair. Just do quick clicks. Just something rough. I'll probably turn my pressure down. Smooth it out. I'm just going to do a rough. This isn't going to be anything too crazy. That's good enough for now. So let me just duplicate. I think for this material length, let's try 36. There you go. It's a little better. Whoop. Break angle. I don't know what that does. I don't mess with any of these. I don't know. Different materials do different things. You can find better materials, but doesn't look good. You have to find one that looks better. Let's just hold shift and duplicate. Move it back a little bit. Let's just terrain shape real quick. Right here. Good enough. Smooth it a little bit. Yeah, it's rough, but whatever. We're just gonna do that. So you're gonna have some performance issues if you just go kind of willy-nilly and like, you know, have a bunch of roads with road architect decals going all over the place. Road architect, it's a procedurally generated road decal essentially. So it does some different things that you wouldn't normally see, like with a standard decal like I made a minute ago. So let's go ahead and start by opening the road architect. Alright, so I changed the material top to Asphalt new, and texture length I'm setting it to like 5 or 10, something like that instead. It was irking me, and I'm actually going to do, what if I did Control C? Can I Control V? No, okay, doesn't work. So I'm just going to manually change that to Asphalt new. It looked too ugly. Couldn't do it. Alright, it was just repeating the texture. I didn't like it. This is more, I like how this kind of repeats the texture a little better. It's not as noticeable. Let's go to the road architect. And if I also want to use my scene tree, so I want to use my scene tree to kind of talk about what it's doing. Let me just build a road like you would normally, like, you know, expect. I guess you would say. So, you know, you get that. You don't have to hold Alt in this case. I can just click, 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 click. Let's see. Press Alt and I'll make it go down a little bit. And this view won't actually snap to the terrain, but I'll show you in a minute. You'll see it. It will when we get to there. But this is tricky because like the node, to grab it kind of gets a little finicky. So we have, this is our road. The width is a little big, but let's see. Let me make this bigger. A couple things in here. Make these bigger. Actually gotta make them all, just so you see everything. So we have a couple things like junctions. You know, you can create a junction. It kind of does the same thing. So I'm just gonna put one there, just to say let's have a junction. It's not going to be perfect. Let's see, what is it? Double click, double click. Oh, Control Z. I actually clicked too many times, so I double click to get that junction in there. I'm not going to really mess with any of the settings. I'm not going to go through the settings because a lot of this stuff you got to experiment with to like kind of tweak it to your road. And there's another tutorial out there where this guy goes through pretty good. He got me going. So if you want to like start messing around with the settings, you know, go look up that tutorial. I think it's like how to make good looking roads or something in BeamNG Drive. That's a good one. But I'm just trying to show you what it does, the technical side. So if I do that, I have my first road. So there's my junction. This is the name of the junction. I can change the name here. Junction 1 test. Enter. So now there's my junction 1 test. So if I go to my roads, the new road that I made, which I'll name road 1 test. So the road is actually in its own little kind of category in this menu. So they kind of have their own settings, right? Both, you know, junctions and roads have their own settings. I don't really use junctions. They're kind of cool because if you go to render mode right here, you'll see sometimes you'll get a bunch of props. And then if you hit terrain and paint it, you know, get the grass out of there. But paint your asphalt. You know, now you got your roads, right? You got your roads. Cool, right? But let me show you what actually happens. So if I have that, and obviously that could be tweaked. So let me go back. Let me just close my terrain. Go back to my road architect to get it back open. So I have to, let me get out of render view. So here's my roads again. And if I select the main road here, now I can go back to my settings. So went over the name. That's a new arc road. You can do different things, like if you, that would be a new road. See how it created a new road? Let me not talk about that just yet. So back to the first road I made. Here's all my nodes, you know, so you can go through them. If you change the position, you press Alt. You have to press Alt again. Oops. Oh, Control Z. So anytime you click anywhere, and then if you Control Z, you have to Control Z twice. So if you make a change, Control Z doesn't undo it. Press it again, it'll undo it. So here's my nodes. You know, I can do stuff with that. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different controls. The master lane width I usually mess with when I was starting to mess with it. So that'll kind of get you your road. But this isn't the way I like to work. I don't really like to mess and have all of this in my world, and I'm going to show you why. And I'll show you the way I do it, which is a lot more flexible, I feel like. Just creating the decal manually is just as easy, but I do use the road architect to create my objects. So let's just do this. Keep going here, and you'll notice. So when I see how it's not over the terrain, if I go to render view, you know, it will be snapped just like a regular decal would be, right? Makes sense. So we got that kind of over the hump. It's looking all right. I mean, I could run with this, but I want to show you something else. So if I keep going down to my little settings, something I use here, my workflow, I would go through and delete these if sometimes it's a little glitchy at points if you do certain things and you don't delete these, or for example, if you deleted all of these and started new, you might see random results. That just falls into the bin of why I don't really work this way, but I'm just showing you here on the left why, how not to work. But what you can do actually also, because there is a lot you can do and it looks really cool, but you can make this stuff manually too. So I make it manually, but I want to show you how to use the road architect and what it does. So the layers, if I create a new layer, right, you got a new layer here, we're just going to call it right railing. So I want to make some railings on the right and left. So I'll hit enter, click that. So I want to go to my road span mesh, and let me just click this magnifying glass. And so this is going to be your entire asset list that it gives you. That is from the second art folder that I mentioned first in the video. So if I just go down to like, I usually use like Italy, guardrail, basic. So I usually do that, and then I'll just close that. So now I have to say show. There's my guardrails, and it's just a quick instance. And you notice I see how they slope with the terrain. So let me go ahead and firstly, I want to say spacing between units. I'm going to bring it down. It's about where I like it. And then I actually want to move it to the, was it lateral offset? So just as an example, if I looked at my render view, I can see they're the wrong direction. So I'm just going to do a quick 180 here. So I click that, go back to render. Wait. What did I do? Oh, yeah, you always gotta click the group, the layer that you want to edit. Now let's do my 180. Now let's do my render view. Now they're flipped. So now what I want to do Go back to my edit view. Let's just create one more layer. Oh, I guess I named them wrong, whatever. Right railing 2. I named them, that should have been left, but hey. So that's gonna go, so I click right railing 2. I have to make it a road span mesh. Click on the magnifying glass, and I don't have to do anything here. It saves where I was, so I can just close that again. Make sure I'm selected on my group, and let me move it to the right side of the road. Oh, make sure I'm doing the show. Now I'm showing it. Yeah, I gotta fix that too here, so I'm gonna go all the way to the other side. Let me change my spacing back down. You know, it's just rough. I mean, I would go through this a little more, but that's not what I'm trying to show you. So I go back. Oh, no mesh. See, there's a little weird. It's a little weird. See how it's glitching out? Let me delete that layer. Go back down. You kind of got to scroll back down. I'll add a layer. Let me name it again. Enter. You got to kind of like do all this stuff again. Let me just change off of that and go. Let me just change it to something else because it was bugging out. No mesh. There you go. Okay, I'm not getting an error, so let me go back to my magnify. Oh, let me close that. So yeah, you always have to click on the guy, then click. Now you see your settings. It's really hard to see. Like, see how you can barely notice what you're selected on. It's I don't know, maybe it's me, but so if you have it selected, click to make sure, click the magnifying glass, go down to that, close that. So now I think it's on the left, so let me make it laterally offset. Oh, I gotta show it again. There it is. Oh, 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 that's the lane index. Wrong click. Lateral. You can tell, like, so. See how clunky, like, for someone who knows what they're doing, like, this is not the way I want to work, but in a second, you'll kind of see where this is going. So, render view, that looks good, roughly good. You know, I would obviously go through and tweak all these settings and, you know, play with it and get it perfect, but for now I have a basic road with some cool stuff. It looks like a road. Everybody's, oh, my AI's already driving. You know, that's great, but let me show you my scene tree here as I grab a drink of water. Alright, so now in my road, I don't know why, I have a lot of road architect roads. I don't know, pretty sure I only made 2 things, right? So I made 2 items. Now I have a whole bunch of stuff cluttering up my scene tree. I don't know what it is, but here's what I need to show you. We're going to reference this decal data. If I delete this, it doesn't affect anything. On my maps, I'll go ahead and delete those. And here's all what you would think are your decals, like for how these roads are generated, right? I double click them, and they don't appear. Oh wait, let me go to Object Select. They do appear. So if I'm in Object Select, then you'll start seeing them. So that's kind of the first point, right? Now, if I go back to the road architect, you know, I'm in render view still because I haven't restarted the game. Now I have the ability to edit things. If I move the terrain, you'll notice the road doesn't really move with it, you know, and you can't see it yet. So in order to restart the game, you actually have to go back to your road architect. You're in render view. Let me just do a Control S. I'm going to save it. I'm going to relaunch the game. Let's come back. Alright, so I'm back. Loading up. My template. Let's look at the bottom here. Loading mesh. Loaded 0.2 kilometers. 1.4 kilometers of markings. Did you see that? It said 1.4 kilometers of markings. How do I have 1.4 kilometers of markings, you ask? Well, when you start looking at this, so if I go back to my road architect, so render view, it doesn't matter because now this list is empty. All of the things that I had in there before are gone, so I can just close that. So now I'm basically looking at your normal stuff. I'm looking at, you know, a DAE, another DAE, and then if I go to my decal road editor, now I have my decals. And then if I smooth, you know, I can smooth it out, right? Everything looks seemingly okay. But from a performance standpoint, I'm already starting to see some issues, right? And then from a setup standpoint, I'm already kind of seeing some things. So let's take a closer look. So if I go to my decal road editor, like what are these? Like you see the material or the little nodes hovering in the air? So these, if I go to my window scene tree, road invisible. So I assume what they're doing here is they're taking the same setup you would see in an official map, right? They're saying drivability is 1 on my invisible road, right? But if I use my mouse wheel and go to another road, drivability is -1. So the AI cars are only going to be driving on this little invisible road, right? You would think that that's okay, but there's actually other ways to actually do it, and the problem I see is this. So if I needed to change, let's say I wanted to expand this. So I have my road invisible. I want to click my node. You can see the arrow. See the arrow? That's the direction that your AI lanes default. Now if it's 2 lanes, lane left, lane right, 1 each, that means that it'll be basically a both ways situation. So AI will go left or right, whatever. It depends, you know. But the arrow would just be if it's like 1 lane, you know, then they'll follow that direction. But that's just the arrow. So anyway, if I wanted to expand this, like let's say I wanted to make this longer, right? Can I make this longer? Might be able to make that longer. What does that actually do? Might start acting funny. That might work. Let's see. Where's my invisible road? Can I make the invisible road longer? The one that has the drivability? Can I extend it? I guess you can extend it. Well, I mean, that's kind of cool, but the main concern I have is that if I wanted to have a big map and, you know, all of these things were on my map, I'm actually going to start to see a problem with the game loading, and I'm going to start seeing a problem with that like road decal length, like shooting up to, I've seen over 2,000 kilometers when I first started, when I only had like a little bit of roads. So, and I also ran into an issue where the game was taking at one point up to 5 minutes to load on every load, and I was very concerned. I didn't know what was causing it, and I realized it was because of the whatever is built into these procedural road decals, whatever it is that gives them that look that they have, that really starts shooting up your performance or shooting like down your performance. I don't know why, but the only thing I can think of is that maybe the texture resolution or something is stretched, something like that. But um, either way, so what I would normally do in this situation, if I wanted to keep these and just kind of play around with it, first thing I would do is I'd probably delete the decal data. And then sometimes you notice that it doesn't actually delete. Oh, maybe I have to be in that view. There you go. Okay, now it's gone. So if I go road invisible, so that one has my drivability, I'll probably leave that. you know, just try and keep it what you think would, like the decal data. If I'm having a performance problem, I've deleted that and I've kind of solved some performance problems. But again, this isn't really the way I work. I just make them manually, and I'll show you that here in a sec. Sorry, this is going to be a little longer than I expected. But you have to kind of go through all these, and I really just made, this is really just, isn't this just one road? I don't think I had anything else in here. So, and some of these, like they look good, don't get me wrong, but I can make them look just as good, and I can really avoid a lot of performance issues that kind of come, along with that. So here's what we're going to do. All these crazy things hovering around, all this stuff. So here's what we're going to do. Let's just try and be fancy. Let me smooth out some of this. Get rid of that. Just kind of give it a rough once over. Just wanted to kind of, because if I wanted to do like a rough intersection or something. So, here's the way I work. I'm just going to show you, like, here's how I would make this bridge. Let me just say it like that. Because if you haven't noticed, like, there's a few things we're dealing with and some really strong caveats that are really just, sometimes you run into things and you're like, man, is that the best way to work? Like, it does look good, but let me just show you what mine will look like, I guess. So, here. And then so the first thing I notice is, see how this one decal is set to over objects as default? So if I started running into a problem, I could find myself having to go through multiple decals to uncheck things, and working like that can kind of be hairy. So, all right. So the first thing, let me clean up my scene tree. Clean it up. So let me just click down here. I'm just going to do a new subgroup. Just call it my one click. New test road, enter. So if I go decal road editor, let's just start here. Let's see, 6. See. What was it called? Damage 2? So if here, let me just shape it first. So if I can duplicate this road, right? I could just duplicate it and then change the material very easy. So if let me just do Control A. Let me set it to 5. Let me set it to 5.5. 5.5. Sure. So if I hold Alt up, I guess sometimes that is a little weird, but that's why you don't want to have your width. If your width is too wide, it'll start bleeding off. I could probably just go like this. Watch this. If I just do one quick, what if I just moved him? I'm just gonna go like this, watch. Let's see. Can I get him right there? Boom. No, too long. Yeah, sometimes you can't quite, you can't overstretch the nodes sometimes. But if let's see, hold Alt, just get it right there, hold Alt, something like that. Anyway, let me just duplicate this guy. So if we go back to object, hold shift, just drag it up a hair, let go. So now you can see it's darker because there's a second material on top. So if I just go here, let me just change it to like, it's that other asphalt or whatever. Let me change the texture length, 36, something like that. Maybe, we'll see. We can always play with it later. So just to get a rough, a rough shape here. Let me smooth some of this out. Entry's looking a little rough. But like that. Oh, a little artifact. Smooth out the artifact. And you can always fix the bridge later if tires are popping. But so if let's do another one. So I'd probably be like one. Start doing my, oh, what was it? Yeah, unselect. So click off to select away. Now you can hold Alt and do a fresh one. Then set it to like yellow. Yellow line double. And I'll do Control A. Select both nodes. Just set the node width to 0.25. Yes, that should be fine. I'm just going to do it rough. Once you kind of get it, once you get them set up, you can kind of copy the settings over between your decals. So if you wanted to set up, say, a new set of double yellow lines over there, I'll just create a new node and copy and then paste all the settings. Now, if I wanted to, say, copy any settings from, like, say, you know, one of these, like this patches, I'll just Control C and I'll paste it on a new patch. No, you don't want to do that. That might mess things up. So I don't work like that. If I want to copy, I make a fresh thing and then I'll just use that as my base. So I'll just copy from the fresh thing I make. And that way I don't have anything from the procedural world stuff or road architect kind of hitting my thing until I get to my railings. So let me just do this real quick. Boom, good enough, right? For now. I could always adjust it. So if I just say, okay, we're done with that. I mean, I could always make it more fancy, you know. If I wanted to, like, say, add another, just some road patches, for example, since I was just talking about it, I'll just hold Alt. You know, I could probably change this right off the bat. Maybe like, you know, 4 or something. Let's do like 2. So we got some road patches. That's real easy. Just, you know, road. Oh, it was already on there. Yeah. I think so. So then, let's see if texture length, maybe that's the way to make it get popped. Okay, so this is a case where my start and my end fade is set at 9, so I just want to set that to 0. Hit enter, 0, enter. So now I'm starting to see some road patches. If I move the node, see how they kind of they're in certain positions. So if I went like this, I can move that one over. Oh, yeah, you find what works best. Now if I wanted, I can set my, you know, start and end fade. I could do like 5. That's too strong. Let's do 2. And I'll do like, you know, 3. That's too strong. 1. That looks cool. So now if I wanted, I can just take with my mouse wheel, select, Control C, and then if I just, you know, was like this, click the terrain, hold Alt, make a new road. Oh, it's already there. If it wasn't there, I should be able to just Control V into the box, and then it'll kind of do that. But there's other patches. I think if you make them longer, you know, you can mess around and put them wherever. But so that's that. Let me talk about the railings as the finish. Let me just show you a quick way to get these cool little side dirt path. So if you select the longest road, go to Object, select, we're going to duplicate it, hold Shift, drag it up a hair, let go. It's a new road. Let me just make the material, actually let me go to my decal road editor. It should already be selected. Anytime you duplicate something, it should automatically select that item that is new. So if I go here, and what is the other one? I forgot what it's called, but I'll just make it like zebra for now, just so I can easily see it. What is this? Road asphalt edge. Where's my zebra? There it is. So road asphalt edge. I'll just type edge. So road asphalt edge. If I did a Control A, select all the nodes, made the node width like what I would want the edge to be, like say 1. Now it's an edge. Let's see, I could probably just, I don't know if I want edges in my highway, but you could always delete these, but just a quick way is probably just to roughly, don't go over the edge, but, just quick edges. You could always fine tune this, it's a node tree, you can always go through and make things better. So you just do that. Move it over. And then basically I would, if I wanted to make it on the right, essentially I could just probably just duplicate that. The other way is I would just Control C, I could always make a new one. See, but the direction does matter. So if I went Control Alt and click that, I think, see how that one's kind of like right. So I'd probably want to keep one of these like that. I don't know. You gotta find the best way, but just depends which way you're making the road. Now I think there's a way to flip them. I don't know if that does it, but I don't know if there's a material flip. There probably is, like with the texture length. But if I did like, -5? No. I don't know. Whatever. Just to go the right direction, I guess. You could always find a way to do it, but it's fairly quick either way. If you don't want it to look sloppy, you can just go all the way around. So let's talk about railings. After I turn my texture length to 36. A little better. So before I really do that, I want to make sure all of my new decals are kind of sitting in their own group. So if I do the click one and then shift click the down one on the bottom, I get everything. I want to put that in. Is that already in there? Well, maybe it was. Maybe it was already in there. Anyway, you just want to make sure it's like in its own little group before we start messing around with the road architect. What I don't like seeing is decal data in my inspector, and I don't like seeing some of this stuff, but you could always fix that. But it's kind of hard to do. It's a little hard to do after the fact. I guess I could probably go through and change those node widths and all that good stuff. But so let me go to my road architect. So if I just do new road, start here. So there's really two ways to do it. Like I could either start there, or if I could go to a new road, or I could start in the middle. So if I did it the first way, I could just do like, say I wanted to, oh, see now, I don't want it to, yeah, if you do end up snapping like that, just do Control Z, and then it'll undo that action. But see, if anytime you move it, it'll do that. Try and snap them. Control Z. So if I wanted to just say do the rightmost railing, I would just have to manipulate it in here. What I would want to do, I'm just going to make it skinny. Master lane width. Oh, wrong road. Click the other road. Master lane width. let me go to my layer. So I want to just delete all these. And so you delete, scroll down, delete, scroll down. And I'm left with this center line. And what I like to do is I like to leave that there. I'll do the road mesh. Let's do like the rightmost highway. Is it? Yeah, let's do that. That looks cool. So if I do that, close, let me show it. And then let me, what's the spacing? So let me say I had that node selected, I can click. Okay, so I have a duplicate node somewhere here. Let me delete. Oh, Control Z, delete, delete. Okay, so now I'm there. So if I just go here, spacing. Obviously my workflow would be better if I didn't have the other road sitting here, but so this, you know, yeah, get away from me, don't want you grabbing. And if you go to render, you know, I can do that. And I can procedurally set this all the way down. I can do a 180. So it's like that. And you could do that. You could do that way. Or you just go like this. If I go, yeah, I guess I gotta go one at a time. Do the same thing. Just gonna do layers. I don't really want all that. I don't need all that. I just want the props. So, because I'm already doing that. I'm doing the decals manually, so I just want the props. So if I say, you know, rail R, enter, and I go road span. Let me show it. Let me reduce it down. Spacing. 2 clicks past flush seems to be good for me. A lateral. What did I say it is? Right. I'll just do it like this. Take a brief look. Where is it sitting? See, it's a little tall. 3 clicks. A little more flush. That's good. So we'll do that. Me just start the other side. So I don't know of a way that you could actually copy this. So I always have to create a new layer. Left. Road span mesh. Click that, make sure it's that. I'll just close it. Let my lateral, oh, we gotta show it. And don't, lateral, it goes that way. Spacing. 1, 2 clicks, and then maybe get some vertical. 2, something like that. So what's that look like? Oh, see? Acting weird. That's why sometimes if you just make the one railing, you know, one at a time maybe. But let me try toggling. Oh, close that. Let me select, and then let me just toggle to something else. What does that do? Does that get rid of the no mesh? Good. Let me go back and then close it. Okay, that's what I want. So let me flip them. Give it a 180. Back to render. It's a little low. Let me raise it and push it left. Lateral. Raise it with the vertical. Alright, so if I want to add another layer for like the poles in the middle, just going to call it poles. Let me do another road span and got it. Yeah, there's no search in here, so you just got to manually go for it. So let's do this guy. That guy does look cool. Seen that on some other tutorials. Seems to be the best, and I would agree. So we get that going down. Let me just show it. And let me make sure my spacing, if I can even see it. Let me hit another node here. Okay. So there's a little bit of stuff going on. Let me hit render. So they need to be flipped. Let's do a 90. And let's just start, at this point you're pretty much set up. So all I gotta do is just start clicking. Now I don't want them too wide, I don't want them going off the bridge or whatever, but let's see if they match. So if they don't match, if I want to hit Alt, I can move this actually. I can lift it up. I don't think I can rotate it, no. Master lane width, I think. Maybe? Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know if it'll actually, what if I close the, let's see. Let me just close the architect. Get out of it and get back in it. The railing's still off. Let me adjust the offset. Rail R. Alright, that's better, I guess. So let me just start clicking. I had to hit Alt. Hit Alt to get out of that other view, so let's just start lining them up. Just gonna get them right on the line. Just make sure your lines are centered in the beginning, I guess. And let's see. I'm gonna delete. Yeah, I'll just leave that for now. I can mess around later. But anyway, that's the basic idea. I mean, you could always fine tune it, make it better. The idea now that if I go, does that work? Let's see, kind of seems okay. If I just did something crazy, went all the way right here, boom. Let's be crazy. And what does it look like? Oh, the spacing's wild. Let's do the poles spacing. I don't want to pull every meter. Just hold the click down forever until you get. Looks pretty good, I guess. Anyway, so just go back to render. So as you can tell, if I look at my layers, I'm getting some, you know, road patches that I don't, oh, unless those are the ones I put there. Well, sometimes it'll add decals that you don't want, and I'll show that here. So what I'm gonna have to do in order to like keep this, I'm gonna have to restart the game. Let me change an offset here. So we can say 3 clicks laterally, no. 1, 2, 3. Not even moving, there you go. 1, 2. That looks pretty good. I don't know that I would want poles right in the middle of the road, but you can always just offset them off to the side, you know. But anyway, I was just trying to prove a point. But I wanted to show what happens now. Let's restart the game. And if you wanted to continue working on it, you kind of got to finish like this little crosswalk probably now. I mean, you could always just redo it and make it look just like the other one, but if I click and delete that new road just so it doesn't conflict. So now I'm on this little node. If I just click here, oh, Control Z again. So I guess you can't actually, I don't think you can create a new road in this direction. Yeah, so it's always going to seemingly want to continue on in the direction that you created until you join them. So That could be an issue, but for me it's not really a problem. But I can just for now just go like this, and then if I wanted to later create this as an intersection, these are all DAE files which are in that same directory, and you can just manually get those into your map, which I'll probably end up speed railing through, but yeah. Let's restart, and I want to show you the final part. But in order to restart, make sure you're in Road Architect mode, make sure you are in render mode. Now it's safe to restart. Let's Control S, and let's restart. Now also, you might want to make sure your terrain doesn't look like this before you restart. I mean, it's okay because you can manually adjust all these little items later, but if you wanted it to be dead perfect, just spend more time in the Road Architect menu before you restart, because once you restart, these are going to become uneditable. Alright, now let's look at the load. Mesh loading, 3.2 kilometers of marking. Sometimes that number fluctuates very drastically. Anyway, I want to show you the final piece. Now, you can tell with the decal, so my Road Architect is empty, there's nothing left. Decal Road Editor tells me, look at all this stuff, man. Let me just do window, scene tree. So I didn't have any layers selected that should have any decals doing any crazy stuff like this, right? I mean, for all intents, it looked like I was just putting some railings and a section of poles. However, that is not actually accurate. So let me just clean this up here. So look at this decal data. Let me start there. You can tell that's not actually like selectable. I'm going to delete it, and you can tell it's not going to do anything. Actually, let me make sure object select, decal. So if I go decal road editor, road patches, I don't need that. I'm going to delete like all of this stuff. See all this? I'm deleting it. Tread marks clean, deleting it. Road invisible, don't need it. I want to keep all the DA files. Road patches, that's for my old road. I'm going to start deleting that too. Probably, well, no, let me wait just so we can compare. So, as another point, so as you can tell, if you restart the game and you create a brand new road, you create a new spline road, this road information is going to go into your same folder as your Road Architect Road 1, second road goes in Road 2, etc. So when you start building roads, you really want to either rename this folder or create a new folder and put all that stuff in it before you start making a new road. Because if you go to restart the game or whatever, or even maybe when you create it, but all that stuff is going to be plumped inside of the Road Architect Road 1. So if you want to keep things organized, do it that way, make a new folder. But let me delete this road and close the architect. Back to my decal editor. So now let me see what I'm looking at here. It gets challenging if all you want to do is just have the props, right? So, I mean, I can smooth that out, but what happened to my DAE file? See? Something disappeared. But, you could always make that again, but the process is usually you have to go through it. Let's see. So road patches. I want to keep all that stuff from the first one, but it gets kind of clustered. Like, see, damaged, I don't need that. Wait, no, I did that. We can keep those patches. I'll have to change those later. I was trying to just get rid of the newest stuff. Like, see this edge? I didn't make that. I didn't make that. I'm just gonna delete the patches, edge. The line I'll keep that, Deleting the patch. So I'll just make new ones. Tread marks. It's over there somewhere. So let's see, what else am I seeing here? Let's make sure that this is not set to over object. You know, you can move the poles manually now. So I was just really just showing you how my method is, which is just using the road architect to put props in your map, which it really works well on. But if you want to keep your scene tree clean and not have a bunch of stuff floating around that you can't manage, this is probably the best way to work. Now, if I wanted to have drivability, all I'd have to do, see what's this? Tread marks clean. Did I make that? I cannot tell. I think that came with these, okay. I think that's good. Because the ones I added, I think had over objects checked, so I don't know. But anyway, so that's the one. I only had 2 decals on there. You can always add more. And I don't know what happened to my side railing. I had one more railing. Now I have one, and it's not like under the map, so I don't know. Sometimes it's weird. Maybe I had it maybe I had it hidden and I didn't realize it. The main thing is the performance issues that you'll get if you just kind of leave these crazy cluttered things all over your map. See all these things? I've seen map time loads just completely go crazy, and then even these, like these little road lines that were created in the architect are procedurally created. So the textures, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the vertices. I've been seeing like vertices, too many vertices errors, like when I was using those. So I don't even use that. I'll just get rid of that and you know, make a new decal. It's kind of easy. Just set this to 0.25. Hold Alt, make another one. Set this to line white. Do it that way. Like, these seem to be fine. These don't have the same hectic problems, and it doesn't matter if you do this a bunch of times. It doesn't matter, like, if you you know, have a ton of these. Like, you could have these all day and it really won't matter. And see how they stick? I don't know if that is related to anything, but some of these, they hover off the ground. It makes me wonder, is that like is that why the performance was so bad? And another thing, see how these have to loop? They create like a looping, it goes kind of underneath and it connects back to the point you started. So it's kind of weird, like the decal has to be in a circuit. I don't understand that. Whereas these manually placed decals, they don't have to be in a circuit. You could just have a beginning and an end and call it a day. So what you see is you'll see your kilometers of your road decals shooting up to the sky by thousands of kilometers, wondering how was this happening? And then you'll look and you'll see that these are all connected. All the procedurally generated roads have these weird little problems. So I'll just delete literally everything except for the DAEs. Get these out of the map. No point in them being there. And then I also do a visual check in the scene tree to really get them out. Even these little lines. All of them. And I'll go back, man, and I'll just add them back in manually. Because those little crosswalks, those are super easy. I'll just spend time doing that. But if I just, you know, get my object, select, press 1. Like these are all pretty safe to keep. I don't see any problem. They don't seem like there's any problem. And then these are obviously, like, they look like they're from Italy, but you know, you can have that on your map. I don't know. It's like an arrow pointing to the sky. I don't know what that means in Italy, but if you just wanted this over here, Control Alt click, Control Alt click, and then you can, you know, you can mess with it more, flatten it out. If you wanted to expand your decals, it's really a non-issue, I think. You know, you can always just these. If I know I created it myself, I'll copy the settings over to another decal. If I'm suspect on whether it came from the road architect or not, like if it has these hovering nodes, I might not want to copy that. I'll just simply create a new node and, you know, select the right material from here, and I make sure it didn't come procedurally. Because if I have too much of that going on my map, like all these, I gotta delete those if I have all that That's gonna really clutter up your scene tree. It's gonna clutter your performance. There's something tied with low performance related to having a bunch of those. Then how they circuit, they loop. So those are kind of dangerous to have a bunch of those in your map. So there's quite a few reasons, but when I do use them, obviously I gotta go manually back and like kind of clean up all this. I'll just be keeping all of the DAE files, and then I'll double click these. I'll make sure that they go to something. Like what's that? I'll delete it. It's best to do it in the scene tree sometimes. That I don't want. So there's my DAEs. Keep that. DAEs keep, because DAEs are pretty good. If it's something I created, it's good. That I'll delete. You know, it's hard to really just explain the workflow, but I guess by seeing it, maybe it'll come to you. So, you know, I can probably move that up to that collection. Trademarks clean. What's that? I don't know what that is. It's that. So, road patches. See, a lot of times it creates these decals that don't even do anything, and that's all taken up. That's all taking up memory. That's all taking up CPU processing for your users playing your map. You know, if someone's playing on a computer, you know, that it's not the best computer, that will all to come into effect or into account and, you know, become a bigger problem. So I wouldn't want that, you know, all this. I don't need all that. Just kind of like this stuff you got to clean up. You try and clean it all up, and usually you save yourself a few headaches if you don't actually use the architect for all of that. But if you just simply, you know, if you just simply create one road or one railing, you know, and all you have to clean up are the residual decals that makes, and then you can go back. You can just go back and, you know, add them yourself. If I just want the dirt on the side, again, want some dirt. See, now it's over. All you gotta do is just say not over, and then you know, give it the whatever texture, and then you have to go around, and you can just go like that all the way around. But I hope I explained it all. It's very hard. Okay, I got it a little bit smooth. Looks a little better. I mean, if I put another railing here, I know it would look a lot better. But probably wouldn't want these poles. I'd just be, I don't even know. Sometimes see how it orients to the terrain. You probably don't even want that. You want it to be kind of flush too. So you gotta play with it. Sometimes the poles aren't the best scenario for rough terrain because the props, they always seem to align with the terrain. I don't know if there's an option in there to get them to just align with like the world. You know, I don't know. I'd have to revisit it, but I just wanted to give a breakdown of like the decal performance problems and you know, kind of review that. So how you want this to look. This would just be everything, and that's all you would see. There's no more crazy decals. None of that decal data. Like all these road patches need to be gone still. So I hope that kind of explains it. And then the only decals left would be your decals. So. And now you also notice like there are these sidewalk things under the world. I don't even know what those are. Like as I'm going through, like if I want sidewalks, I'm just gonna use the mesh road editor. Might as well just record as I'm deleting, because there's like sidewalks, there's a million curbs. Like I don't want to have a bunch of performance problems. So, you know, I don't know what all of this does. So I'm just, that's empty. That's empty. New test road, keep. What's all this stuff? Blank white. I'll just like that. What is that? Blank white. Whatever. Sim group. What's in there? Just try trying to clean up my scene tree for the end of the video. Get rid of that. That's it. So road patches, yep. You should be able to get the pattern now. I think that's going. What's that? I'll keep that. Gerb. What is that? The world? Don't need it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe someday it'll be something I figure out, but for now all they seem to do is hurt my map. So I'm just gonna get rid of them. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. And make sure when you're getting rid of stuff that you don't accidentally delete. I've accidentally deleted things that I didn't mean to delete before. So what is that? Don't know what that is. Is that something? Guess I can delete that. Let's delete that. Some more stuff under the world. Under the world. Under the world. Empty folder. Something invisible. I'll get rid of that weird sign too. Get rid of that. Under the world. Empty. Man, it just really gets kind of crazy, you know? Like, this video should not be an hour long, I say to myself. Let's see. I'll just move that up, hold click, put that right here, let go, minimize it. Now it looks a lot more pretty. Is that in there? I don't even know what that is. Yeah, weird icon. Oh, that might be a mesh icon. Static mesh. I'll just move that up. Empty. So yeah. Hope you're kind of getting the gist. So now all I really have are these decals and my pretty railings, which actually the decal is not quite on there. I'll just do Control A. Set it to 3. And nope, still not on there. Why is it not going over? Oh, over objects. Not see, that's acting weird. I don't know what that is. I might have to delete it and nope, see. It was that. There you go. Let's see. What if I delete that node? Nope. Worst case, you could always. Why is all on the road? Then, oh yeah, I didn't mention this. So if I did want to, like, have to redo it. Like, let's say I wanted to just go boom. Oh no, it's going over my light. Yeah, because you got to go to the light and change the. Wait, was that already done? Let's see, what's it going over? Oh, maybe because my view. Well, anyway, it's not. It wasn't going over the light. If it was going over the light, you just wanted to make sure that the decal type was set to none. That applies to any DAE file. Pretty easy. Alright, so yeah, I'm just fixing that. I was just gonna end it with like at least a pretty road that didn't look all messed up. And a nice scene tree. Above all, pretty road, and then above that is the nice scene tree in the priority list. Because you can have a pretty messed up world, but man, if your scene tree and your file structure is great, man, people are gonna love it. And then I'm just gonna do like Control A. Where's my inspector? Let's make it a little wider. And we'll do like, that looks pretty good. I don't know. I could always duplicate it too. Duplicate it again and make something else. I don't know. What do you want? Let's just do road patches all over it. Yeah. And cracks. Let's repeat it again and do some cracks. Oh, we have double road patches and then cracks. There you go. Boom, baby. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. You can go back to decal road, select all. That's going over something, I think. See, Sometimes it gets crazy. But at the end of the day, if you just left this and walked away, you know, you could fiddle around the over objects all day and all that. But at the end of the day, if you just left it, you know, it would still be drivable and your performance would still be a lot better than if you did it the other way. So if I just wanted to clean this up, now I know those are all created by me. I'm just going to slide these in here. I should probably rename that. Road 1. There we go. So now new roads won't, you know, plop into that folder. That goes from there to there. What's in here? Nothing. Delete. Oh, gotta be an object. Select it. Delete. Delete. And then delete. Oh. Delete. Delete. I don't need that. Delete. Oh boy. Delete. Delete. Do I need that? No. Delete. That can go up into that group, I think. Now, I have a nice clean slate. Obviously, it could go further and you can clean it up more. But road 1. It's hard to remember. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to say, I think. The performance without those decal roads now, it looks just as good, and like you won't ever see any of those crazy load time issues. If you've ever seen that, you know that's why. So, thanks. So I realized if you go and do all that, it's still going to drive like beach sand because we have beach sand painted on the ground. So let me see if we can add just simply asphalt to the map. So if we go to small island, I'm just going to borrow from our terrains here. So let me go here. I just want some asphalt. Control F. Ground model asphalt. So let's see. Let's take that guy. And let me go see here. So that's art terrains. Let me do a new small line terrain JSON. This guy. Yes. Because I need some ground model asphalt. Ground model asphalt 1. Ah, so that's the kicker. So there's a ground model asphalt that already exists, and that exists in the Utah folder. So when you look at them, this is all the tire physics, right? So I need to copy that. I'm actually going to put that just down here for a sec. Make sure it's separated. So all I need to do is I'm just going to join some things. Template 2. Let's do the JSON first. Is that even in there? Okay, grass, beach, sand. Let me just, there's no comma right there, so let me copy it with the comma. I'm just going to plop it right here. So it's, let me give it another, wait, Control Z, let me make sure. So that has a, I like to have a space after the comma, so if I just do Control V, space after the comma, there it is. I have my no comma. There we go. I think that's good. Save it. So now I just want to go like this. I'm going to take this ground model material. This is just so it doesn't turn up black in your when you go to paint it. So I'm going to go to Art, Terrains. Let me go ahead and edit this. And all I have to do is, I'll just put it at the beginning for now. I'm just going to put it right there and see if make sure that there's a comma. Needs to be a comma right there. And now there's no comma there. Let me save that. And actually, I could probably just leave it like that for now. I have another video. There's a lot of my stuff where I go through and I path them, but this should work. Let's see. Just wanted it to look cool for you. So here's my road. So see, that's still beach sand. Terrain tools, I want to do, close that. Terrain painter, let's add a terrain material. Now I have ground model asphalt listed. So, don't know if those are going to come over. Let's see. Ground model asphalt. Oh, no, don't want to do that. I've seen before where having a very, like a texture entry that has very long with a bunch of materials doesn't like to be in the same JSON as a one of the small ones that have just a few. Let's see if I can fix that. Actually, I just realized I had this random A at the bottom here. Let me delete that. Let me test it again before I say anything. Just taking a look. Yeah, I had that random A. I don't know how that got there. Alright, save. Try it. So here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm just going to repurpose. I got it working, but it's not, doesn't have the material like the physics work, but the materials aren't mapping. And I think it's because the bead sand and everything that's in there only has like these four. It's only looking for four. And then in the JSON for the one I'm trying to use, there's like a whole bunch. Let me see if I can like I can get it to work if I just simply repath this. It'll look just fine. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be fancy and I'm just going to simply rename this guy. I'm going to take all this stuff, Control C, paste it right here. Internal name. Just give it everything it's asking for basically. Internal name. Class, TerrainMaterial, persistentId. I'm going to copy that over and see what happens here. Just leave it at default to the strength. Diffuse, I mean, diffuse is really color. That might be my detailMap actually. So that deterrain base. So let me do the this guy on my diffuse. Just gonna leave that at 2048. Really should probably be 1024, but we're gonna try it because we're crazy. Ground model name needs to be ground model asphalt 1. Now this ground model, that's probably only going to affect like your grass, things you want to paint on it. We're not going to paint grass on asphalt. Macro map. Where's my macro map? Let's get this. Boom. Normal map. Detail, I think is for like higher, like PBR. I don't think I don't know if that's right terminology, but I'm just going to use like the base normal map here. Let's save, or let's copy this over. I'm actually going to just delete this. We'll try it. Control V, make sure there's a comma. Control S. Kind of got that. So let's see what we get. Restarting the game. Oh yeah, so if I just type levels, it actually does take me to the gameplay levels. So if I just go in here, art, terrains, now I have all my little maps that I can kind of hunt through. I'm not going to spend too much time. Let me just skip and I'll show you what it looks like at the end, and I'll share my JSON just so you have a quick way of getting asphalt on your pretty road. I'm just going to do something crazy here. I'm going to use grass01 as my diffuse. Open that. Ground model asphalt. Save changes. There you go. Let's see what that does if I change the detail. Where's marking dirt? Hey, it looks better than beach sand. Man, this isn't a perfect science. What's that, the macro? What, normal? Let's try normal on that. What does that do? Oh wait, no, I don't want that. For the normal here, I want... What does that do? Oh, hello. Kind of looks like rocks. Whatever. I'm just pathing. I said template, but I'm actually doing levels template 2 in this case. So it's also seeing template 2. I already have materials in there, so I'm just trying to tailor them easily. This video ended up being a lot longer than I intended it to be. Sad to say, there's ways to get terrain, but it's not always a perfect science. I really wished it was, but anyway, I was just trying to show if I did all that, you know, I had some better actual asphalt, I would just go like this. You know, it would probably look better if it was a better texture on the asphalt. But you know, you want to, now if you drive on it, it'll actually feel like ground model asphalt. Some of this stuff's hard to explain sometimes. But as you can see now, if I didn't do this, I'll show you what a car looks like. Just so you know I'm not crazy. Plop them right here. Oh, crap. Wrong thing. Grab you. You know, you're driving around. It's asphalt. So, if I didn't do that, you guys would be just driving and seeing it. I think. Sometimes you do edit. Rebuild collision. Solve some issues, but. Alright. I think that's it.